Samsung has quite recently uncovered the cutting-edge Galaxy Z Fold 5 close by the clamshell-style Z Flip 5, and Samsung has picked an iterative update once more, pursuing the direction of the Z Fold 4 and, surprisingly, the Z Fold 3. Certainly, the improvements like better performance and a gapless fold are welcome wholeheartedly. However, in a year where we've seen critical improvements to foldable tech from any semblance of Google, Honor, Huawei, Oppo, and Motorola, has Samsung done what's necessary to keep its foldable crown? I'm not entirely certain. Design and display. Close to indistinguishable generally design. Not any more foldable whole. No large improvements to interior wrinkle. It's a major year not for the Samsung foldables overall but rather for the pivot system inside. Since the send-off of the principal Galaxy Fold in 2019, there has been one steady issue with Samsung's foldables, the hole. Because of the design of the tier pivot system utilized by Samsung foldables, the phones were genuinely unfit to close totally, leaving an odd three-sided formed hole when folded. It wasn't great for foldables with complex frameworks that could be annihilated by residue and trash. Fortunately, Samsung has at long last settled the issue, with the Z Fold 5 and the clamshell-style Z Flip 5 shutting with no trace of a hole. It's somewhat amazing that it took such a long time, particularly taking into account Samsung was perhaps the earliest producer to try different things with foldable tech, despite what amount of time it required to appear. The new pivot framework moves the foldables look from cool future tech with issues to premium foldable-y, particularly when joined with astonishingly thin bezels of the internal foldable display, and premium materials utilized in the form, including Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection for the external glass boards. Eliminating that off-kilter hole likewise considers a somewhat more modest and general impression, with the Z Fold 5 estimating in at 13.4mm when folded, down 2.4mm contrasted with the 15.8mm thick Z Fold 4. That is as yet thicker than piece of candy lead in area, and is a way off both the Pixel Fold and Honor's unthinkably meager 9.9mm thick Enchantment V2. However, it causes the phone to feel somewhat less stout in the hand and pocket. It's likewise 10 grams lighter at 253 grams. However, once more, this is still weightier than most Treat phones, and it was perceptible during my active time with the phone in front of send-off. In truth, most of foldables are thick. Yet the 231 grams Honor Wizardry V2 shows that the tides are changing and Samsung is in danger of being cleared up in the storm. Beside that, it's the same old thing for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. It sports similar general look as its ancestor, finished with Samsung's unmistakable tall and tight 6.1 inches 120Hz AMOLED outer display and the bigger 7.6 inches 120Hz AMOLED foldable display found inside. The inward display has seen a lift to generally speaking brilliance, with 1750 nits top splendor matching that of the top-end Galaxy S23 Ultra, which ought to be a genuine help for open-air seeing. However, being at a dim-shut entryway occasion, that is not something I could undoubtedly test at that point. All the more annoyingly, in spite of the improved pivot system, the focal wrinkle is still a lot of present and represented, and it doesn't appear to be any unique to the Z Fold 4. While we won't ever dispense with the wrinkle totally, much obliged, physical science, producers like Huawei and Motorola have gained ground in making the wrinkle as shallow as could be expected, making Samsung's foldable look a piece dated by examination. In any case, the definite 2 Kelvin display, thin bezels, and shockingly consoling plastic display make for an extraordinary review insight. Its picture-style design makes it ideal for split-screen performing various tasks as well. Cameras. 50MP primary camera. 4MP UDC makes a return. Indistinguishable to Z Fold 4 equipment. It appears Samsung is sure of the Z Fold 4's camera arrangement as, in a real sense, nothing has changed with regards to the Z Fold 5. The Samsung Z Fold 5 gains a similar mix of an essential 50MP snapper with double pixel AF and OIS, a 12MP ultra-wide, and a 10MP 3x zooming focal point with OIS. It's a comparable story with the selfie cameras. The 10MP sensor of the outside 6.1 inches display stays unaltered, similar as the 4MP under-display camera inside the bigger 7.6 inches board. I actually need to test the camera arrangement, however, considering that it's indistinguishable from its ancestor, it's most likely the case performance will likewise be tantamount. The essential 50MP camera was able in many situations, as verified in our Z Fold 4 survey, yet it's absolutely not one of the most mind-blowing camera phones accessible. We depicted the 3x long-range focal point as simply satisfactory, as a matter of fact. With the Google Pixel Fold on the scene in 2023, I question it'll try and procure the title of Best Foldable for cameras, yet I'll need to scrutinize that once I get an example for the full survey. Performance and software. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy Power. Android 13 with One UI 5.1. At the core of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5, you'll track down a similar custom form of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 tracked down in the Galaxy S23 series. Named the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy, the chipset flaunts a higher computer processor clock and an extra GPU center contrasted with the customary 8 Gen 2 found in most different leads, which ought to give the Z Fold 5 an edge over the greater part of the opposition, foldable or not. That is combined with 12GB of LPDDR5X Smash, and either 256GB, 512GB or 1TB of UFS 4.0 capacity to play with. However, it's actually significant that the top-end 1TB model is only accessible from Samsung straightforwardly. Obviously, the Z Fold 5 felt quick and responsive during my restricted time with the gadget up to this point. In a flash opening any application I tapped on, running 2 applications on screen without issue, and picture catch was close momentary as well. It's surely not ailing in power. However, I'll run benchmarks to check my cases once I return an example once again to the believed surveys towers for testing. With regards to software, you ought to expect a significant part of equivalent to the Galaxy Z Fold 4. However, the phone runs Android 13 with Samsung's One UI 5.1 applied. It isn't so unique to its ancestor, with just minor improvements to the general software experience. One of the critical highlights was the capacity to utilize Bixby to answer to approaching calls through text, which ought to let you know all you really want to realize about how little has changed here. All things considered, it actually offers a generally clean foldable involvement in an iPad's toolbar on the inward display, providing fast admittance to number 1, and as of late utilized applications, with simplified highlights making it refreshingly simple to run 2 applications one next to the other. You can likewise compel unsupported applications to run in full screen mode, a component not accessible on the Pixel Fold. However, as usual, not all applications will display accurately. That is an issue with book-style foldables as a rule, with designers delayed to add support for the square-shaped perspective proportion, so Samsung ought not be punished for it. Notwithstanding, it merits remembering whether you're new to the universe of book-style foldables. Fortunately, there is a lot of chance for Samsung to improve the software experience, with a promised 5 years of safety refreshes and different operating system overhauls. However, strangely, Samsung was hesitant about the specific number of operating system redesigns at my preparation. Battery life: 4400 mAh battery with 25W charging. It's trying to find out about battery life when you're just enjoying an hour with a smartphone, yet I'm anticipating that a very much like performance should the Z Fold 4, since they sport a similar 400 mAh battery. We found the Z Fold 4 could pretty much overcome the day with close to 5 hours of screen time, so improvements actually should be made. In principle, the Z Fold 5 could be possibly better with the improved power productivity of the fresher chipset. However, I wouldn't believe in the event that there was an outstanding improvement in true use. That would have been trivial in the event that Samsung had squeezed up the charging pace of the current year's foldable. But on the other hand, that is not the situation, donning similar 25-watt charging as its ancestor. Finally, please follow or subscribe to my channel to get more video. Thanks, and see you again next time.